Welcome to PD on the Go, the podcast that delivers bite-sized learning on communication, collaboration, and facilitation for busy teacher leaders. Tune in while you're in the car, on your lunch break, or making copies, and get ready to level up your leadership skills. My name is Mary Beth Anderson, and I work in the Office of Professional Learning in Fairfax County Public Schools. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Hallie Case.
Hello.
Hello. So today on our episode, we're talking about one way to build trust. And one way teams can build trust is by creating team safety. And so trust is something that is built over time.
Yep.
And so we have to think about ways that we can make little deposits into people's trust accounts and thinking about how can we create team safety for people to feel vulnerable, to be able to do the important work that we need to. So thinking about safety, like why do we need this foundation for it on collaborative learning teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first, I like that you said that it's about team safety because an individual might feel safe. And really what we mean by that is like willing to take risks in a group and not feel as though they're going to be judged for every little thing, right? Or even big things, right? And so an individual might feel that, but as a team, in order to collaborate well together and reach that place of trust, you need everyone on the team to have that sense of safety. And it's really only when you have that you're going to be able to talk about student data, brainstorm ideas that you're willing to offer up to a group of people, even if you're not really sure if it's a good idea, right? Or things like admitting that a lesson didn't go well. You know, like saying it flopped and I don't really know why. And without having team safety, it's hard to have those conversations. And with such limited time in teams, we have to be doing that important work together because that's what's most valuable for students is when we can spend our time talking about those things that will really matter when we're back in our classrooms planning by ourselves or with students in our classrooms needing to make those 10,000 decisions in a day around what's best for kids.
Right. And I feel like in order to be our true selves with each other and not feel like we have to watch every single thing we say because someone might respond in a way that makes us put our walls up.
Yeah.
You really have to feel that safety. I think about the two of us who are verbal processors.
Right.
Like when we share ideas on our team, I might not really have an idea at all formulated and it's just happening as I'm saying it.
I know.
So to be able to even think out loud, you really want to have that safe space. You were also sharing, like when we were talking about this episode before, a time as a teacher where you felt maybe not as safe.
Yeah, like since that conversation, what I think is I felt like my individual safety was a little bit threatened, but also the team too. So in this particular example that we're referencing, when I was a teacher on an English team in a middle school, we had data walls where after a summative assessment, like a multiple choice test that kids would take on the computer, we'd have data meetings where the results for each teacher's classes would be projected up on the screen by question. And then it would be like red based on, how many percent students didn't get that question right, or green based on, and I think that we all had this collective feeling of dread when we had to go to meetings like that because we didn't fully trust each other or feel safe. And I know I didn't. Like I was so worried every time. Like what if my data looks so much worse than everybody else's? Am I a bad teacher? Did I do something different or wrong from what we talked about as a team that would lead to results like this? And so that feeling of not being safe as a team meant really that in the long run, we weren't being able to get to the root cause of understanding what students needed from us in order to have higher levels of achievement. And so, I mean, I don't know if that story resonates with anyone else, but I can still feel it.
And I mean, I can tell even in your like body language
I'm like,
and how you're
it was
explaining
awful.
it, which I think, I mean, that happened to me too.
Yeah.
And I think about like our brand new teachers or teachers who are new to a team or teachers who are new to a content area.
Yeah.
That first data dialogue where all of your data is exposed and you're comparing to each other, which it's like human nature to kind of feel nervous about. And so much of our identity as teachers, our identity is being a teacher.
Right.
And so you feel sort of like exposed.
Yep.
And so this got us thinking about how can we give some suggestions to our listeners about ways as a teacher leader to build some team safety so that you can have these conversations, because it's one thing to just to look at the data and what feelings that brings us up for us, but also thinking about, okay, how do we move past that and get to solutions, strategies, make instructional decisions to keep our kids moving forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one idea that comes to mind as a teacher leader is to be the first person to be vulnerable and to be a lead learner. So, I mean, I know we're sort of speaking a little bit in the context of data. So that might be that you are the first one to say, like, hey, I'm not sure about the results on my data this time. Like, I'm interested in hearing your opinions about kind of what my students might need. But it could also be, we're learning a new way of teaching, and I don't think I have it all figured out, but I'm willing to have people come into my classroom to kind of see me in action, and then we can debrief and talk about like what you noticed and wondered about it. So being a lead learner is a way to start building that safety and modeling it for other people.
Yeah, just being the first one to take that step. It's even making me think, like, bring a piece of student work. I don't know where to go next to teach this person, you know, this kid next. So you could do that. You could also maybe think about the working agreements that your team has and what's in place for how you will come to the table to make sure that everybody's needs are met. Because I know if we come to a meeting and we feel that we're not getting what we hope to get out of that meeting, that also kind of puts up a wall where I don't feel safe or I don't feel the value here, so I'm less likely maybe to engage, which, you know, you and I are training to become adaptive schools trainers, and so we were in one of the sessions, this cohort this fall, and Jenny Kaneen, the instructor, was sharing a grounding that you could do with the agenda. And so when you're the team leader or facilitator, you could show the agenda and then give a moment to say, what are you most excited about, or what are you hoping we really get to cover, or what's something that you can't wait to dive into, so that you can kind of make sure or see where everybody is, where you want to focus the most time on in that agenda, or make sure that you don't, maybe something was at the end that everyone was looking forward to and you didn't know that. And so you were like, oh, we'll get to that next time.
Gotta skip it. Yeah.
You know, because that also creates a space of safety.
Yeah. Which leads to trust, because then they know they can kind of trust the room to take care of what they need and want to talk about.
Right.
You know, I think a key for a teacher leader, really in any leader, is to listen, to understand, and not to just respond to. So when there's moments of feeling like safety might be at jeopardy or the group is unsure, really just pausing to listen and have positive presuppositions, which you modeled great in that example of like, what are you most excited about in this agenda? Because it assumes that they're going to be excited about something, right?
Yeah.
So I think just being willing to listen to what people are saying and not have all of this other noise in your head. And we do have an episode about listening set-asides and like those mental journeys that we go on and how to raise awareness around it, and sharpening those skills as a leader can start to help other people demonstrate similar skills, and that will create safety too.
Yeah, and then you're getting to tune in into what they need also, which helps you to tailor the meeting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so we are going to share a text that gives some ideas for other ways to share safety and to build trust on your teams. So we hope that you can follow us on our Instagram at FCPS_PD, and there you will find all of our resources. And if you are an FCPS employee, you can always search PD on the Go on Atlas and find our resources there. So please tune in next time for more PD on the Go.